Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the Wedding Planning Diary podcast, part of Wedding Venues in Cornwall. I'm your host, Helen Cotton, owner of Wedding Venue Camel Studio and founder of Wedding Venues in Cornwall. This is a really exciting moment for us, the start of a journey where we'll explore everything you need to plan the wedding of your dreams. Whether you're newly engaged, deep in the planning process, or just dreaming of your special day, this podcast is here to inspire, guide and support you every step of the way. In each episode, I'll be chatting to some of Cornwall's most stunning venues, talented suppliers and even couples who've been through it all. Together, we'll uncover insider tips, advice and plenty of inspiration to help make your day everything you've ever imagined. In this first episode, I'm super excited to introduce Jess from Tied the Knot Wedding Planning. Jess is a fabulous wedding planner and the one that we trust to coordinate all of our weddings here at Camel Studio. Jess brings a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I can't wait for her to share her tips and advice on everything you need to think about when planning a wedding, whether in Cornwall or beyond. So grab a cup of tea or maybe even a glass of fizz and let's dive into the Wedding Planning Diary. I'm so glad you're here. Can I start by asking Jess, I've introduced you, but can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into wedding planning?
So like you said, my name's Jess. I own Tied the Knot Wedding Planning, which is a business that I have been running now for, I think it's nearly 2 years. I think it's 2 years in February. But I have been in the wedding industry now for, I think, just over 10 years. It's an industry that I love. And I can honestly say I absolutely love my job.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. That's quite a long time to be in a career, isn't it? So I imagine that you do love your job, having spent 10 years in it. But tell me, what inspired you to become a wedding planner then?
So it sounds really, really cheesy, but it actually came from when I was maybe teen, maybe kind of 11, 12.
Okay.
But it was the wedding planner.
Oh my gosh.
If you've seen it, you know it. It features J-Lo. She's a
Yes.
wedding
I've
planner,
seen it. Yeah, yeah.
and I wanted to be her. So,
Oh my
um,
goodness.
and that actually influenced what I did at uni as well. So my mum sat me down just before I started deciding what I wanted to do for uni, and said, right, Jess, what's your dream job? If you could do anything, what do you want to do? And I said, wedding planner. Again, referring to J-Lo.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you, J-Lo. And that led me to I started a course in event management up in Leicester. So I did an event management degree. That's kind of how it all set up. After uni, I landed my first wedding coordinating job. So I came straight out of uni. Kind of a lot of my peers went into corporate events, kind of creative arts industry events, but I knew wedding coordination, wedding planning. The wedding industry was where I wanted to be. That was my first job, was in Bristol.
Oh, I wonder how many wedding planners J-Lo has inspired. It would be quite interesting
I'm
to know, right?
I'm sure many. I'm sure
Yeah.
many. I think even if they have never kind of the words have come out their mouth, I'm sure they've seen that film.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Tell me, how would you describe your kind of style and approach to the job that you do in wedding planning?
Yeah, my approach, I would say, is it's all about listening to the couple.
Yeah.
From that initial call, from when they first contact you, it's all about listening to what they want, their ideas, their vision, their style, any little detail that they say, it's all about noting those things and making them come to life, really. So yeah, it's very couple focused.
Yeah.
And yeah, just listening to them, let them kind of talk through the day, talk through their dream plans, and yeah, bring them to life. So
And I think it's a little bit cheesy to say it, but I do really believe that Jess would be your professional best friend. Like, you would totally play that role for any couple that was working with you, wouldn't you? So we work
yeah,
together closely, so I do know that I can say that. But yeah, you would just be there, and you would have their back, and yeah, everything would be
yeah.
amazing with you on board for
That makes
sure.
me very happy. I
Yeah.
would love to be everyone's best friend, in regards to, yeah. If you're gonna book me as your planner, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm coming
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. So what would be sort of one piece of advice that you would give to couples when they are kind of planning their wedding then?
The one thing I say to every couple, is truly savor everything. I think wedding planning is a little bit overwhelming when you first get to it. Most people haven't been married before, so it's a new thing for everyone, and I think sometimes it can feel a bit of a juggling act, especially in the beginning. You don't really know where to start. No one kind of, I suppose you're just thrown in at the deep end. So I think I just say, if you feel like that, take a step back, take a deep breath, and start prioritizing the jobs that mean the most at that time. Yeah, I think you could definitely get lost into it. So I always say prioritize the task that needs to be done at that
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very sound advice, isn't it? Tell me just what's something that might surprise couples about your job?
Um, I think it would be that a wedding planner isn't just for high budget weddings. I think there's such a big thing around that. That yeah, if you have a wedding planner, it's because you've got a big budget wedding. But that's really not the case.
I guess let's talk about that. And could you talk about some of the options that might be available to couples that are looking for a wedding planner and kind of what their options are really?
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's a question that gets all asked to me all the time. Like, what is a wedding planner? People come on that initial call, and that's one of the questions they like answered. But I think it also lines up another question, because it's, do you want a wedding planner or do you want a wedding coordinator?
Okay.
So I suppose it's just working out what the couple want from you.
Mhm.
Where are they in the wedding planning? What sort of support do they need? Um, and how much do they want to take on themselves? And then that helps me to distinguish which service is best for them. So yeah, I suppose a wedding planner, is very much involved with the wedding planning, the whole
Mhm.
process, depending on at what stage they book you.
Mhm.
Um, you will be, you will know the ins and outs of that wedding. You are a professional on hand at every stage of that planning.
Okay.
Um, you'll be sorting out budgeting, venue search, supplier, recommendations. You'll work with them on the design and their styling,
Mhm.
um, and the overall logistics, really, of the whole day and how it's all going to come together.
Yeah.
Um, and you'll work very close with the couple,
Yeah.
and make sure that that happens.
And then you'll be there, I imagine, the entire sort of if they're having a wedding weekend, you would be there for that entire time, would you?
Oh, of course, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It'll every kind of point of their celebration, you'll be on hand,
Yeah.
to make sure everything's running smoothly on the day. So,
Brilliant. Yeah.
and then the other side of it is not all wedding planners do this, but I offer this. It's wedding coordination,
Mhm.
and that's very much, the couple plan their own wedding.
Okay.
So they are very involved with it. Most of the time, they come to me probably 6 months before. So they've got a fair amount of their planning already done.
Yep.
And it's usually a point in the planning that they turn around and go, well, who's actually going to make this happen on the day? So I suppose coordination is the coordinator steps in about 1 to 2 months before the wedding, and kind of takes over the reins,
Yep.
ties everything kind of together,
Mm-hmm.
and then delivers that perfectly on the day. So
Amazing. So would you be kind of scheduling all of the suppliers and doing all creating all the schedules for them, coordinating all the suppliers before the big day, and then obviously then pulling it all together for the day itself?
yeah, in an extent, yeah. I suppose it's with the coordination part, it's really just tying everything together. So they've got probably a rough schedule.
Hmm.
They've probably passed that on into some extent to the suppliers. So it's you just tying up all the loose ends and just making sure that everyone has the information that they need. You tidy up that schedule for them. You just maybe point out a few areas that might not be working, and just ironing out anything that needs to be ironed. And then you take over the communication with the suppliers just to ensure that everyone knows what they should be knowing and that timings on the day are all correct and ready to go. So
Are there any other options that couples might have other than the full wedding planning, the coordination? Is there anything else that you offer, Jess?
yes, yeah. So I've got a few packages. Obviously, we've discussed kind of the wedding planning part of it, but I actually offer two branches of the wedding planning. One is full planning,
Yep.
and that I would say covers kind of absolutely everything. The kind of what I described with the wedding planning description,
Yep.
And that tends to happen quite early on in every couple's wedding planning journey.
I mean,
It
I
might be
imagine that you would be one of the first people. It would make sense that you would be one of the first people that they would contact if they're
yeah,
thinking, yes, we would like full wedding planning. They would get in touch with you first
absolutely,
and foremost, I gather,
yeah,
even before they
yeah.
start thinking about venues and that sort of thing, because you would be able to help them with that venue search, I imagine.
Of course, yes, absolutely. You can
Great.
shortlist venues. So I suppose one thing that people looking for a wedding planner really benefit from, is that I've got a lot of experience here in Cornwall, Devon, where I can shortlist venues because there are hours and hours put into Google searching and that kind of, just going trolling through the internet trying to find a venue that ticks all your boxes.
So you mentioned that there are the sort of two arms of wedding planning. So full wedding planning, and what was the other option that couples might want to choose?
So partial wedding planning.
Okay.
So it's still follows the same guidelines as full,
Yep.
but I would say it's for couples who may have contacted you a little bit later on
Yep.
in their planning journey.
Yep.
They may have booked their venue, they may have booked their photographer, they may have booked their florist. So they've already kind of started and there's a good plan already appearing. So I find that these are couples that maybe their schedule's quite busy,
Hmm.
and they maybe are starting to panic. How on earth am I going to carry this on?
Okay.
Or I get couples who just really want to be involved with certain aspects of the day. So they don't want to kind of hand over the full reins.
Yep.
They want you there on hand to guide them through, make sure they're meeting deadlines, but at the same time, they get to enjoy the parts of planning they want to do.
Sure. No, that makes sense. And then there's the coordination that you've explained as well. And
Absolutely.
are there any other options that couples have available to them?
Of course, yeah. So I also have the styling side of it. So wedding
Okay.
planning includes that into the package anyway.
Yeah.
That's turning their ideas into reality, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas the styling is just pinpointing that part of the planning, really.
Yeah.
It's the fun part. It's
Yeah.
the turning your Pinterest boards into reality. So yeah, and this is what I mean. This is takes us back to the question of wedding planning not having to be for high budget couple
Yeah.
like wedding couples.
Yeah.
This is like a lower costing
Hmm.
package that helps to reduce stress and relieves gives you more time to plan your own day
Yeah.
when someone else with experience, with knowledge in that area can help yeah, create something for you. So
Okay, so would that be specifically just for styling? So it would be about you coming in, helping them with the ideas in the run up to their big day, and then you coming in the morning of the wedding and just making sure that all of that styling is just as they want it to be. You wouldn't then stay for the rest of the day, I imagine. Is that right?
yeah, so the styling is just that part of the day. They can add the styling onto the coordination. So I have two styling packages. One is just on the day styling, and I think that's for people who maybe you're at a venue who only let you in the morning to decorate,
Mm.
or they just haven't, they just don't want to do that part of the day. They want to enjoy the night before the wedding, go off and have food with the family and want to give that part to someone who knows what they're doing
Yeah,
and someone that they can trust to bring that all together
yeah,
just as they plan. So that's the on the day. And then you have the full design and styling, which is a process. So again, you'll probably get involved a couple of months before the wedding and really work with them to make that Pinterest board a reality. You'll source suppliers, you'll source decor, you'll speak to the florist, and then you're there the morning of the wedding to make sure that those things all come together.
oh, it sounds amazing and kind of a no-brainer if, you know, if for people who are a little bit a bit too busy or feeling a little bit overwhelmed with wedding planning, then kind of having you there would help a great deal. What are your most popular packages, if you like? And could you give us an indication as to what the costs involved would be?
Of course. I would say my most popular package is on the day coordination. And that starts at £900. And what you get with that is so from the moment of booking, you've obviously got someone you can talk with, ask questions with. So there is support throughout the whole booking process.
Yeah.
I don't just pick you up a month or two before. I
Okay.
am always on hand to answer questions.
Great. That's
Um,
amazing. Um, just so that we've got a gauge as to the other end of the spectrum, can you give us an indication of what full planning might cost as well?
yeah, so I would say if you, on average, it's about 10% of your overall wedding cost.
Okay.
Obviously, they're very bespokely put together, those quotes.
Hmm.
Like you said, it depends on the point of planning, the support they need, where the wedding
Yeah.
is. Um, if it's at a venue, if it's at a marquee, each wedding brings a different demand. So they are bespokely quoted, but I would say if you budget around 10% of your overall cost for the day.
Makes sense. Perfect. Oh, sounds amazing, Jess. Thank you so much. And what would you advise as the kind of the key things that they should look for in their planner, I guess?
Yeah, so that's another thing I would say is you are going to want to have an initial meeting with your planner. You're going to want to jump on a Zoom call or meet for coffee because you're going to spend a lot of time with that person. So I would highly recommend when you're looking for a planner, yeah, to get that initial phone call, video call, in-person call, and if you gel with them, and you get on with them, then I think that's a good place to start.
What do you do? I know that sometimes there can be kind of a lull. If you've been kind of planning for a while, you're kind of, and now you're kind of, 6 months in or so, and you can feel there's a little bit of a lull. What would you recommend that people start doing during this time so that they don't feel kind of like they should be doing something and they're kind of getting worried about it or a bit anxious, but they don't quite know what to do? What would be your advice around that?
And it is one thing that people ask me all the time. They
Okay.
they say they're in this lull,
Okay.
and they don't know what to do. They feel like they've done all
Mhm.
their big tasks, and they've kind of reached a stage where the little tasks that can't quite be done yet. So they turn around to me and they ask, what shall I be doing?
Yeah.
I always say there is plenty. There is loads you
Okay.
could be doing.
So
My
don't have a
biggest
break.
no, sorry guys. No, the only reason I say this is because the last 3 months of your planning, it does get a little bit stressful. It does get
Yeah.
that's when all the deadlines are, all the payment deadlines. So my advice to you is just try and get as many things done on your to-do list prior to those 3 months.
Okay.
So I would start on your decor planning.
Yeah.
So you've probably got your Pinterest board, you probably know at this phase what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
So I would just get stuck in there. Start
Mhm.
making a list of everything you need to supply decor wise for the day, whether you break that up into sections. That's your table decor, your ceremony decor, your card and present table decor, your
Yeah.
I don't know, you just break it up into sections, make a list under each one, and just work
Yeah.
your way through it. Start buying it.
Yeah.
It's time to start buying it at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that couples at Camel Studio that they I find that they do and find really helpful is to actually lay out all their decor. So for their tablescape, for example,
Yeah.
buy it all, get it all in, and actually try it out. And I
Yeah.
know that we've had couples, haven't we, Jess, that have actually changed their mind based on the fact that when they bring everything together, it hasn't quite worked. And you've got that, um, at that point you've got that flexibility to be able to make those changes, and even just down to kind of the different flowers, or at least getting the kind of colors of your flowers and putting them in the vase, similar kind of vases. If your florist is providing vases, for example, you can kind of get some similar vases just to give you a good idea as to how that's all going to come together, and you're happy with it.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's another thing I say to couples is go and see your venue, go to the location of your wedding venue, so
Yeah.
that you can do those things and take the decor with
100%.
you,
Yeah.
and you can also do things. You can meet with other suppliers in this time as well.
Yeah.
Photographer, if you've got one,
Mm,
videographer, you
yeah.
can have those meetings with them just to finalize kind of your preferred shots, your family photos. You can get those meetings done. So yeah, it's just I would start reaching out to all your suppliers and just ironing out all the details and making sure you're both on the same page and that everything's ready to go.
Definitely, and contracts are signed, deposits are paid, just so that you've got peace of mind that your suppliers are, they're locked in, if you like. What about, in amongst all of that as well, thinking about, and your venue would come into this, I imagine, but thinking through, if you do have a bit of wet weather on the day, would you advise sort of at this point, sort of 6 months prior to your big day, sort of thinking through, what if, we get rain? Thinking through those sorts of scenarios, I guess, as well.
That's it. It's one of those topics no one wants to speak about either because
No,
they don't want to jinx it. But it's
no.
it's it's around this time that I will say to them, "What's the wet weather plan?" And you can see their face drop because they don't want to talk about it. But it is. You need to have a wet weather plan in place. So yeah, ensure
I
that
w
you have these conversations.
100%. I would even advise that happens when you're going and seeing your venues, asking them, "What is the wet weather contingent?" Just so that you know that you're happy with whatever it is that they have as an option. I think have those conversations right from the get-go and just
Oh
make
yeah.
sure that you're happy.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Especially when you're booking a venue, you need to have those conversations early on. The worst thing you want is to not have that conversation and then not be happy with the alternative.
Agree. So is there anything else that you can think of during that sort of, sort of 6 months prior to your big day, that lull, maybe that lull period? Is there anything else that you can think of that couples could be doing at this stage?
I think it kind of goes hand in hand with the decor planning, but
Mhm.
it's the big job, stationery. That's table stationery, that's place names, that's menus, that's signage, that's your order of the day, that's your welcome sign.
Yeah,
Obviously, if your RSVP date's a little bit kind of down the line still, you can
yeah,
still start having a look at that, getting plans together, um,
yeah,
getting an Excel sheet of everyone's names and all their food choices. Like, be organised,
yeah,
and just yeah, for when that RSVP date hits, you're all ready to go. Basically, send it to print.
yeah.
It's done.
Yeah. Excel is your best friend, I think, isn't it? Just putting everything down and just,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, so you can jiggle it around and doing table plans at this stage as well can be really helpful. Just getting a good idea from your venue as to what your table layout will be,
yeah.
you know, numbers of chairs around each of the tables, and then yeah, because getting your table plan sorted, I know at my wedding, it took me ages.
Oh gosh, isn't it? It's
Oh,
basically a puzzle for you and your
yeah,
family and friends.
yeah,
So yeah,
100%.
and
I use like a little piece of paper and blue tack, I think
yeah.
worked really well. And
I
I'm
always
sure that the
say
people
you can do it on a Friday, Saturday night, sit
yeah,
down, meal,
for a glass of
make
wine.
make a thing out of it and just sit, yeah,
Yeah,
enjoy putting that table plan together. So
100%. And also the other thing I would recommend doing, and this goes throughout the kind of planning process, is just when you hear a good song, just putting it on your playlist and separating your playlist into the different stages of your
yeah.
day. So whether it be ceremony, you know, cocktails after your ceremony, um, wedding reception, so your wedding feast, and then, you know, after the wedding feast into your party. So, you know, just adding those songs to your playlist can work really well just as you're going, I think. And
And
then
I
you'll
th-
just have the most amazing playlist at the end and you'll be
yeah,
like, "Yay, it's done," rather than trying to do it right at the last minute and thinking, "What songs do we like?"
yeah, I think it will be so much more personable because you're
Yeah,
going to, if you do it over a period of time, it'll be songs that in that moment you'll go add that to the playlist.
yeah,
And
yeah.
on the day you'll hear those songs and it will take you
Yeah.
back to when you picked those. So yeah.
100%, 100%. And then you'll be imagining, you know, you'll be dancing on your day and you'll be like, "Yay, we'll be dancing to this song." And it's just really nice to kind of, you know, have that in your mind, isn't it? Amazing. Thank you. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask as well, Jess, is that in your experience, what are the little things that you find that couples kind of forget to do on their big day?
So little details, I would say, forgetting to print the speech off comes up quite a
Okay.
lot. The
Yeah.
amount of times on a wedding day I get sent a speech to print off on a
Yeah.
printer, or the night before, Jess, can you print this off?
Yeah. Yeah, but always print your speech as well. Don't rely on your phone. Just in case
Yeah.
that you know, if a phone runs out or something, always just have that physical sort of like tangible piece of paper in your hand for
I
sure,
also,
just as a backup, right?
yeah, it might be my own personal opinion, but I feel like just having a nice bit of paper in front of you rather than your phone or a tablet
Yeah. Yeah.
looks so much better than,
Yeah.
yeah, stood there with a
100%. And if you're worried about, or if, you know, if you're a bride and you haven't got anywhere to put it, if you know, if you've got a coordinator or planner, great, give it to them, or otherwise just give it to a trusted member of the family and they'll look after it, you know.
exactly.
So just make sure you kind of know who you've given it to so you don't have to stress about that.
Yeah. Or me, I can put it on your
Yeah,
chair when you need it. So.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, what else?
So I think this is one when I work with you at Camel Studio, we always cover in our final meeting is reserve seating for the
Yeah,
ceremony. I think it's quite an important detail. Just otherwise
and
it
it was
becomes a
so
bit of
overlooked.
a, yeah, it does. It gets overlooked. And I just think when it comes to seating your guests at the ceremony, it just goes a little bit smoother. There's
Yeah.
no awkward conversations from the groomsmen having to tap someone up on the shoulder and say, "Sorry, do you want to move back?"
Yeah.
It
It's
just
true.
highlights where the bridesmaids are supposed to sit and where the parents are supposed to sit.
Yeah.
So
And if you wanna go super relaxed and it's a kind of like anyone can sit anywhere, then absolutely fine, no problem. But it's just having thought that through, I think, is important because you've spent so long on sort of designing where everyone's gonna sit on your table plan. It's like,
yeah,
okay, where do you want people? Do you want to have reserved seating for some of your wedding party or not? but at least you've kind of thought about it. And then the other thing to think about as well is the stationery that goes along with that. So do you want the kind of matching stationery, or otherwise we kind of use the luggage tags, don't we, and tie them
That's
with
it.
pretty ribbon there. So it can be
Yeah.
really simple, or you
Yeah.
can tie
Doesn't
everything with.
it doesn't need to cost a lot. It really
No.
doesn't. I think another one is so kind of morning of the wedding prep, especially around steaming dresses. I do see, especially when I used to work at a wedding venue, um, brides used to arrive and say, "Oh, do you have a steamer?" And we go, "No, we don't have one." So
Yeah,
it's yeah,
exactly.
just make sure that someone in your party comes armed with a steamer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
because
And
it doesn't.
I would say, yeah, and also I would just say, like, if you are arriving at the venue the night before, as often couples do in Cornwall, steam it the night before.
Oh yeah,
You don't wanna be having a panic, on the wedding morning itself. You're having your hair and makeup done, you don't wanna be all hot and things like that. And if you're having bridesmaids or any wedding party, have them do the same thing. Just get their bridesmaids' dresses, their suits, whatever it might be, ready the night before your wedding, and then you know that that's all done, isn't it? So,
especially with hair and makeup as well going on in the
yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
You don't want steamy stuff going
Yeah,
around.
definitely.
Once that, well, yeah, the makeup artist is putting, doing all your bridesmaids' makeup. So
And it's
yeah.
surprising just how much stuff comes out at that point, isn't it? Like,
Oh
it can
gosh.
just seem like
Yeah.
quite a chaotic environment.
Yeah.
And if
So
you,
get
like,
that
have
done
the
night
and then
before.
yeah, exactly, and then if you add in steaming dresses into the mix, it's like, "Oh, man, no, don't do it to yourself."
Don't tempt fate with anything the morning of the
No,
wedding.
brilliant. What else, Jess?
Lovely. So then I would say there are definitely bigger details that people
Okay.
miss,
Mhm.
for sure. Um, so I would say things like your guests like to know what's going on
Mhm.
during the day. So
Okay.
keeping your guests in the know with
Yeah.
simple things like signage,
Mm.
order of the day,
Okay.
directional signs. If your
Okay.
venue is quite big and you've
Yes.
got various different spaces, your guests haven't been there before. So if
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
got
yeah.
a sign saying toilets this way or ceremony this way, or it's your guests are going to be in the know, they're going to feel more comfortable, and they're going to
Yes.
be in the right places at the right time.
Yeah.
Whether that is, you might not want too much out in stationery on the day, but you might have a
Yeah.
website or something that informs the guests of all this information before they arrive,
Yes.
or you send out an email with all this.
Yeah.
I just think your guests are going to be more comfortable if they know what's
Mm.
going on the day.
Yeah. And also, it's nice if you can just have, something, a simple kind of plan for the day out somewhere, isn't it? People like to just go and look at it.
Yeah,
They like to know what time they're eating, whether they need to pace themselves, having
that's it.
how many drinks do they want to have, etc., etc. It's all these sort of little things that people do little mental calculations around, isn't it? Yeah. Is there anything else that you find that couples forget at all, Jess?
I say this all the time. It's the time after dinner. I always think people
Yeah.
forget that once dinner's done, you need to
Yeah.
keep those energy levels going. There's always a
Okay.
bit of a lull
Yeah.
after
People
dinner.
People's tummies are full,
Full,
so
yeah. Alcohol
they
has
might have
been
had a bit too much
consumed.
to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's I think well it obviously depends on like who you and your family are, but there'll be certain levels of energy that you want to maintain throughout that period. It's going to
Yeah,
be the time that your band's setting up, sound
yeah,
checking. It's going to
yeah,
be the time, yeah, where the room might be slightly turned around, or yeah, there's something going on, just getting ready
yeah.
for that evening reception. So
So
I would
that usually
definitely.
sort of does that usually last for about an hour, would you say, Jess?
Yeah, hour and a half, I would say. So you and your guests are going to want to go and do something
Yeah.
at that point. It doesn't need to cost loads of money. It really
Mhm.
doesn't. It can. We've at Camel Studio when I've worked with you, we've had people play in the garden a game of rounders, and that
Yes.
was really good fun.
Volleyball
Yeah,
was one of them,
exactly.
wasn't it? A scavenger hunt.
A
Those were some of
scavenger
the
hunt.
yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah,
and then garden games can be a fun thing to do. What else have we had? Kind of quizzes. We've done
yeah,
crosswords, like,
yeah,
Mr. and Mrs.
yeah. games are
Yeah.
brilliant because it
Yeah.
really breaks. I know that you've been with these people for most of the day, but this is when it starts getting fun. Everyone's
Yeah.
kind of guards are down at
They're
this
relaxed.
point. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a really good way to get everyone kind of together
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah.
and or even some things like bringing out some cocktails.
Yeah.
In the
Yes.
sunshine, enjoying the last of the sun
Yeah.
before sunset,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Because
just enjoying time together.
yeah, definitely. I think it's quite nice just to touch.
Hmm.
What are what are some of the surprising things or kind of wonderful ideas that you've seen couples have or for their big day?
Yeah, I like this question because
Yeah.
I've seen so many just because no wedding is the same.
Yeah.
Each couple brings something like unique and
Yeah.
personal to each
Yeah.
wedding. So I think some of my favorites are like the personal touches. I've got a wedding this year, and the sisters singing at the ceremony. So
Lovely.
it's a song that means a lot to the couple. And the
Lovely.
sister has an amazing voice, so she's
Yeah.
going to stand up whilst they sign the register,
Oh.
and sing. And I just think
Yeah.
that's like the most loveliest thing ever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
something like that. Or I've seen when someone gets up to do a speech, and it's kind of a bit of a surprise because they don't do that traditional speech. It kind of turns into a sing along where
Yeah.
everyone sat down, has the sing along sheet already. Song
Yes.
comes on, and everyone starts singing and dancing in the room. So
Oh.
yeah, it is little touches that
Yeah.
they're going to be the moments that you remember forever. Do you
Yeah.
remember when that happened on the wedding day? They're
Yeah.
the bits that people are going to remember. So
Yeah, 100%. We had a wedding, didn't we, last year where we had the couple shared song sheets during the ceremony and they
yeah,
had us sing along during the ceremony. And it was just, oh, I hadn't seen that before. And I just thought, what a great idea. Just to get, it's about finding those points at which you can kind of connect people. That's and also the other thing I think was really lovely is that I've seen is when couples, if they want to have kind of wedding favors, that they really personalize them. So one of the things that we saw at one of the weddings,
oh my
didn't we,
goodness, I
Jess,
know
is
what you're
that
going to say.
yeah, I mean, it helped that the bride was a graphic designer, but she
Yeah,
designed all of for every guest, she designed their kind of, I guess, their little portrait in graphic, through graphic design, and it was just that was their place card, and it meant that they could take that away with them. And I would have totally framed mine if I'd had one. They
oh
were
yeah,
just beautiful, and I think it's kind of if you are gonna if you do want to kind of have favors and things and kind of making them really super personal like that, I think works really nicely, doesn't it?
it is. And yeah, I'm not sure one of those were left, were they? Everyone
No.
took their
Yeah.
photo home with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
100%.
was such a lovely touch,
Yeah.
such lovely.
Oh, Jess, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And very first podcast that we've done. And I know, well, other people won't know this, but we have had a few trial and errors. And I hope this is going to actually be the one that goes out there. Jess, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to be able to do that?
Yeah, so I've got a website which is www.tietheknotwedding.com, where you can find out everything that I offer on there. Or my number is on my website, and I love it. Just give me a call. I'm happy just to have a chat with you. You might not be sure that the services are right for you, so yeah, jump on a call. We can have a chat. And we can go from there. So please feel free to call me or email.
Yeah, thank you, Jess, so much. It's been super, really helpful.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I've had good fun.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye for now.